I'm happy that you are here, that you're part of this class and that we're practicing this. It's so great. Today, there's key lesson 50 that we're going to take a look at. It's a great lesson. You know this. I'm sustained by the love of God. And so how this will develop in what we do and what we read will be brought to us today. So first of all, it's important to remember that we sit here and let this come to us, that it's not really we doing anything, but that this is an opportunity to come into presence, into this holy moment that we spend together. And that is a beautiful opportunity today to do that. Well, I'm sustained by the love of God. So this is basically the invitation to a celebration, because you don't have to sustain yourself, because God does it for you. So that will be a big relief, right? It takes off a lot of pressure of surviving and sustaining yourself and pushing yourself through certain things to achieve a goal. The thing that we will discover too is like there's a tendency to use these symbols of the world and to get lost in them too. So what we will read will be also a healing moment for us to allow a realignment to take place. And I can start right here. You know, it's like the hardest thing for someone living that they live in time is to let that idea go, to let all the ideas related to time go, because everything appears to be rooted in time, and this has nothing to do with that, and your healing has nothing to do with that either. Your sustenance has nothing to do with this timeline, but if you think in a timeline, you will have to have something for tomorrow. You know, then there's already a reason to collect or to earn or to get it. And so this is where we hover today. This is where we hang out today, in the place where we see, we don't have to do that, or we don't have to do that. It's like, oh my God, yeah, I never saw it like this. So basically, we're also invited to receive spiritual vision and look at all of this in a whole different perspective, coming in fact from this whole moment of now, and looking at the situation, hovering above it and actually looking down on it like, oh my God, look at what we're doing. You can't believe it. So here we are in this class, relaxing and taking time to take another look at this and see what we're inspired to receive. You know, that is so precious and so sweet to do it like this, to come together like this, and you know, expand your consciousness or see what's going on the edges of your consciousness, discovering that there's always more space to receive and more space to open up to, and letting go all kinds of laws that you held for yourself as true. You let them go, and you don't have to validate them for your sustenance. So I'm sustained by the love of God. Wow, that's so great. So in the end, we will use a prayer lesson, 222. There's 3 2s in it. And that's also a very beautiful lesson, very comforting. So, you know, this class is also for comforting, because as a human mind or as a human being, you're so, upset, in fact, about the place that you find yourself. And being in this transformational process in which you discover the real nature of yourself, basically layer by layer, you come more to the core of your being, which is also a very peaceful place. You know, so everything on the surface is always making you nervous. It's always full of anxiety, full of tension, full of contraction. But you come closer to the core of your being and everything becomes calm, becomes like, juicy if you want. It becomes like warm and comforting and true. You know, that's the big difference. So when you go a little bit off of that, then you, with your attention or with your awareness, then it feels immediately not right, you know. So you know all about this. And so here's the place then where we come together, where you actually don't have to defend that. And you can actually allow that world that you think is so real, or this time that you think is really in a succession. This is the place where you can let that collapse, where literally only one moment remains. So thank you for doing this with me and being in this class, listening to this. That's really great. So I'm going to read some part of the lesson 50. There's some, I probably read it all except for the last paragraph. There's so much in there that is so useful to be reminded of. Even though we're in this review right now, like we're on review lesson 58, I think. And so lesson 50 will be there tomorrow. I'm sustained by the love of God. So this is on page 311 from the Urtext Manuscripts book. And for the rest, I cannot help you in navigating in this, in the edition that you hold. But I'm sustained by the love of God. You'll find that. Here is the answer to every problem that confronts you today, tomorrow, and throughout time. Okay, so welcome home. Here's the answer to every problem that confronts you today, tomorrow, and throughout time. So in this world, you believe you are sustained by everything but God. Your faith is placed in the most trivial and insane symbols: pills, money, protective clothing, influence, prestige, being liked, knowing the right people, and an endless list of forms of nothingness which you endow with magical powers. All these things are your replacements for the love of God. All these things are cherished to ensure body identification. They are songs of praise to the ego. Do not put your faith in the worthless. It will not sustain you. Okay, so we go back a little bit. So here it is, like all these replacements that you have made for the love of God, which didn't need a replacement, but you chose one. And it is not necessary to do a deep psychoanalysis here, to trace it back or something like that. It's like, no, listen to this. It's like you replaced the love of God with something else. So that makes it a little bit more complicated for you these days. So in your transformational process, you're not sure what to trust anymore. Like, okay, well, so what is it now? What can I trust? Basically, that's the question. Like, what can I trust? Pills, money, prestige, being liked, and all that. Yeah, I can imagine that is not the sustenance of God. Like, that is not coming from God. No, this is the way that I deal with the shortcomings, in fact, that I'm perceiving. I'm thinking in terms of lack, and this is what I use then to fill up the gaps that I experience, so that I see with my eyes, and in fact continuously affirm a body identification. So that's also not what I really am. So this goes really far, and you know this. You've read this and you've practiced this for sure. So it is also with this. It's like, well, there's no possibility of you getting sick. There's no such thing as sickness in that sense. There's no way that you can be sick or that you can have a disease. No, that is no you that can have that. There's no you created by God that can have that. There's no you created by God that can experience lack or, danger, in fact, also. So all these facets basically come from an idea of misidentification. And then it is like, now you feel, in fact, when I share this, you feel, in fact, how much you're tied in with the idea of yourself that you think that you are. So that makes it so different, but also so palpable. You can feel that, like, now I feel how much I'm hooked into my human idea, because I absolutely have an idea that, well, and then there's your illusion, in fact, your illusion about yourself. I still think that I can become sick, or I can still think that I'm bereft of something, or that I can miss something that is not there, or that I can lose the ones that I love. I really still do believe that. So in fact, this is another reality check in our transformational process, in which we discover, like, oh yeah, I really think I can lose someone. Oh, that's based on the idea that I think that someone is what I think it is, instead of what he really is. So this is in fact the basis of healing altogether. It's like the fact that you will never be able to get sick or become ill is a real incredible healing alignment, moment for you, if you allow that to come to you. Because it takes care of all the misidentification that you can have. Now you literally can see how untrue your ideas are. So this is in fact what is being exposed here in this lesson. I am sustained by the love of God. So does the love of God need supplements, needs alternatives? No, it is everything. Like, there's literally no exception to it. And that's really easy to remember in a certain sense. It's really easy to remember as an idea. But to experience it in the situations in which you get the reflections of that something is wrong with you, that something is missing, or that something, something just died, someone just died, is an idea that is in the middle of your process then. So I am sustained of the love. It doesn't need any replacements. The love of God is whole and perfect, and it's given to me in every moment. There's no exception to that. See, all the exceptions that I can come up with, all the defenses that I can use to not accept this idea, seem to be echoing through my mind, continuously. It's like amazing how that echoes, even though it has no reality, and conceptually I know that. So no more. This lesson, it's like with all the lessons, and we know this like from the beginning. We might read the introduction again, because it's really interesting to read it after 50 lessons. The introduction of the workbook lessons is, understanding is not necessary. You don't even need to accept the idea. You don't even need to welcome it. Just do the exercise and practice it. That's all that's being asked. So it's a very, little requirement, a little willingness is asked of you to do this, to do these lessons. They confront you with the truth of who you are continuously and increasingly too, like longer periods of time. More often in a day, and so on. It's like, well, this is going to have a real incredible impact on you, because you allow that to occur to you. And actually, to be honest, you recognize the truth in this. That's why you keep doing this. That's why you keep doing that. But what is your alternative? You can tell me. It's like, what is the alternative that you have, that you can come up with? You don't have an alternative. So you look for one, absolutely, but you don't have any. So do you really have a choice in doing this now? Well, this is apparently the time to do it for you. That's why you do it. And welcome it. Even though you might not accept every lesson or you might not understand it at all, you have no idea what this is about. Just keep doing it and you'll see that it does something with you. So that is the beauty of this. Okay, so let's continue reading because there must be more in it. Only the love of God will protect you in all circumstances. It will lift you out of every trial and raise you high above all the perceived dangers of this world into a climate of perfect peace and safety. Well, that was the same like as the meditation that we used yesterday. Like, I'm in danger nowhere in this world. This is another link to that. Like, the love of God will protect you in all circumstances. It will lift you out of every trial and raise you high above all perceived dangers of this world into a climate of perfect peace and safety. Wow. Is this what you're looking for? Yeah, of course. Of course. You at least can try it to accept this, can try to consider this as that might be really good actually. And the love of God might not be that bad at all. It can lift me out of every trial. Well, I got some coming up, or I just went through some. Maybe that's a really good idea to welcome that, starting to welcome that, starting to become open to receive this. And today is such a good day for that. Like, oh my God, it's unbelievable. It's like, why postpone it one more day? Just come into this. Just consider the idea that the love of God can raise you out of every perceived danger or every perceived something that's not right, however that is, lift you out of every conflict into a sphere of perfect safety and joy, in fact, too. Like, wow, that's so amazing. If that isn't good news, then what are you going to listen to? I can't believe this. Wow. What a lesson, isn't it? It's like, wow, that's only the 50th day. Can you believe that? Put not your faith in illusions, they will fail you. Put all your faith in the love of God within you, eternal, changeless, and forever unfailing. This is the answer to whatever confronts you today. Through the love of God in you, you can resolve all seeming difficulties without effort and ensure confidence. Tell yourself this often today. It is a declaration of release from the belief in idols. It is your acknowledgement of the truth about yourself. Wow. Tell yourself this often today. It's a declaration of release from the belief in idols. It is your acknowledgement of the truth about yourself. So twice today, morning and evening, let the idea for today sink deep into your consciousness. Repeat it, think about it, let related thoughts come up in your mind to help you recognize its truth and allow peace to flow over you like a blanket of protection and surety. Let no idle and foolish thoughts enter to disturb the holy mind of the Son of God. Such is the kingdom of heaven. Such is the resting place where your Father has placed you forever. So there's not much to say about that except the fact, well, we might as well practice it. We might as well consider it today to use this even though it's not the lesson of today. Or maybe pick it up tomorrow when we do the review with lesson 50 in it, or maybe the day after, I don't exactly know. So it is like, I'm sustained by the love of God. Well, that's going to be like, I want to receive that like deep into my consciousness. I want never to forget that. I want it to be my reality, and it is my reality. So I will look for confirmation that it is so. I will look long enough at my situation and at my trials that are, say, popping up into my awareness. I will look long enough to see that disappear, in fact, and effortlessly flow into a reflection of the love of God, instead of the missed moment in my own awareness. So that's so great, so lovely. Thank you for listening with me to this. So great to discover. So there's, let me see what can be useful here right now. It is so I'm just scrolling through the Urtext, and we saw a lot of things in this class. We went through a lot of material, so we had a quite a serious class, so to speak. We really went for it, and which is great. So that's why we come together too, to take a really good look at it. So actually, I want to use something of chapter 12, and that's on page 131 from the Urtext. And 12D, so D, healing and time. Healing and time. So I'll start with the first paragraph and use it as a reference to the lesson that we just read. So are you with me? Healing and time. And now the reason why you are afraid of this course should be apparent. For this is a course on love, because it is about you. You have been told that your function in this world is healing, and your function in heaven is creating. The ego teaches that your function on earth is destruction, and that you have no function at all in heaven. It would thus destroy you here and bury you here, leaving you no inheritance except the dust out of which it thinks you were made. While it is reasonably satisfied with you, as its reasoning goes, it offers you oblivion. When it becomes overtly savage, it offers you hell. Wow. Okay, so the next part is this. The next paragraph. Yet neither oblivion nor hell is as unacceptable to you as heaven, for your definition of heaven is hell, and oblivion I read this again. For your definition of heaven is hell and oblivion, and the real heaven is the greatest threat you think you could experience. For hell and oblivion are ideas which you have made up, and you are bent on demonstrating their reality to establish yours. If their reality is questioned, you believe that yours is. For you believe that attack established your reality, and that your destruction is the final proof that you were right. Well, that sounds totally different as the part that we just read, right? It seems like however is this going to, communicate? So there is no link to it. So there's no link to this and the love of God. So it is more like you recognize what you do. When you don't accept the love of God, you actually think this is true, that heaven would be the greatest threat. And that is based on an idea that living as a human being is and an ego mind, if you want, so like an ego mind, is horrendous. It's hell. It's like it's attack upon attack. It's never quiet. It's always anxious. It is like, well, you would be happy to die to finally find your peace. See, this is a very common way of human thinking. So is the love of God in this? No, not at all. That has nothing to do with it. See, but the tendency then, this makes it really clear, is like the tendency in your thinking as a human being is a real attack upon, say, God, which has no effect on God, but on you. So it's very destructive for yourself to think that way. And that is the same then. So the more you invest and validate the symbols that you use, in fact, to prove the unreality of yourself, is a real attack on yourself. So that has an effect on you in your system, and even your physical system. It basically, say, brings in a lot of stress. So the other part then is the release of this is oh yes, I'm sustained by the love of God, and I accept that idea slowly but certainly. Like I will let that sink in. I want that to be my reality. So then it's like the letting go of your ideas that you held about yourself before. That whole value system that you used becomes like, you don't need it anymore. You don't need it anymore. But you will have to recognize it first in order to see what you don't need anymore. So this part that we just read then is a real intense, say, illustration of that. Your thinking as a human being is based upon attack. It's like, well, if you could just, in the end, after all your suffering and trying to survive, and using all these symbols for yourself to get what you want, so to speak, or to survive, and being better off as your neighbor, or however that's going to look. Like, at least I got my health. Well, my neighbor's very sick, but hey, luckily I'm happy and I'm healthy. Well, see, a way of thinking like that has nothing to do with the love of God, and it is painful for you. That's why all these parts and all the healing that takes place is just for you, because you, say, this course was made for you. It's a course in love, because that is what you are, and that is why you will return to in the acceptance of this, and that's what returns into your awareness in the acceptance of this. So this is lovely to read, because it's such an incredible contrast to what we just read. Oh, here's a nice one too. It's a D7. Would you recognize a holy encounter if you are merely perceiving it as a meeting with your own past? For you are meeting no one, and the sharing of salvation, which makes the encounter holy, is excluded from your sight. Like, would you recognize a holy encounter? No, you're missing it. You're missing it because your mind is occupied with all ideas about, say, your unholy brother and trying to survive here. You will not see then the holy encounter. You will not see your brother for who he is. So there's just no space in your mind to receive that, because you already have an idea about what he is and what your place is and purpose is. So that is always so amazing for me to read too. It's like, well, if you accept an idea, then there's no place for another idea unless you change your mind. So that's why this is like, well, there's a necessity to change your mind. And that is more like letting go of ideas and deciding like, okay, I'm going to forget about this definition of myself. I want to become aware of where I'm holding on to that and let that be undone for me. That's basically what I'm trying to say. So, see, here's the idea of time coming in then too. Like, if you base your moment here now on the past, then there's no place to actually experience what is given you in this moment. We will always come back to this. It will always end up here. You know, it's like this offers you the space to receive what is given in this moment. So only this, by letting go of the past ideas, letting go of what you thought was true or what you want, all your ideas that you hold about yourself, all the definitions and contractions that you hold about yourself, that is just in the way, and we're not going to hold on to that anymore. And that opens the door to this present moment, to allow this moment to be whole. And also not worrying about the future, like how is that supposed to work? When I accept this, how is my future gonna look like? What is that going to look like? Is this still my safety? Is that what I say collected for myself, for my sustenance? Is that really going to be safe in the future then, if I allow this? So, you know, you're already in the middle of it. You're already losing yourself in your future idea, which is basically the same as your past. It's just as much in the way for you to experience this moment of wholeness, this moment of communication. So that's always interesting. It's like, well, here you have the answer to a lot of things. In fact, it's like, yeah, just let this come to you in terms of, say, let this be revealed to you, what it means. Like, yes, I want to experience the love of God. So that will mean that I have to change my mind, that I have to let go of my ideas. So there will be space for me to experience that, to receive that for myself. So that's the practice that we do. So that's really lovely. Okay, so that was a bit of an illustration. So now I'm heading over to, say, lesson 222, which is a prayer lesson, but a really lovely one too. Yeah, this is great. I love this. So God is with me. I live and breathe in Him. So it's on page 395 of the Urtext, in the Urtext book. God is with me. I live and breathe in Him. So you can do this with your eyes open. You can do this with your eyes closed. I would say sit back and relax. I'll read this to you as like a joint prayer. And also as almost like an invitation to a revelation of this. God is with me. I live and breathe in Him. God is with me. He is my source of life, the life within, the air I breathe, the food by which I am sustained, the water which renews and cleanses me. He is my home, wherein I live and move, the spirit which directs my actions, offers me its thoughts, and guarantees my safety from all pain. He covers me with kindness and with care, and holds in love the sun He shines upon. who also shines on him. How still is he who knows the truth of what he speaks today. Father, we have no words except your name upon our lips and in our mind, as we come quietly into your presence now and ask to rest with you in peace a while. God is with me. I live and breathe in him. So we will be quiet for a moment just to feel this. It's like, oh, let's rest with you in peace a while, Father. Yeah, thank you. That's great. Thank you so much. Wow, thank you. So thanks for being in this class with us, and I hope to see you soon. Thank you.